evening. It's Monica from Life is Art, and it's Wednesday. Let's create. This evening we are going to be making a mini album, and I'm excited to show you this. It was just recently shown to me by a fellow close to my heart maker, and it was just so cool that I had to show you. I couldn't wait. And so instead of our usual card, we're going to be making a mini album. And to create this album, we're going to be looking at some items from our new core catalog. We're going to use paper from the Flower Shoppe collection, which is just so gorgeous. Lots of bright, bold, lovely colors and patterns. And we're also going to be using one of the stamp sets from over in the stamp section. We're going to be using this one here. It's called Summer Vibes. Where am I looking? I'm looking all around. It's the Celebrate Summer stamp set. Sorry, the title's over here. Celebrate Summer stamp set. So we're going to be using that as well. So those are the two things we're going to be looking at. The Flower Shoppe collection and the Celebrate Summer stamp set. So if you're popping on to watch, just say hello or howdy so I know you're here. And we're going to get started in a second. I'm just giving everybody a moment to find the live video and pop on. Sometimes, you know, we get started so quickly and then everybody joins about a minute in, and then they miss the introduction. But we won't linger too long. So let's take a look at what I'm going to be creating for you. Again, this was inspired by fellow close to my heart maker, Bishop Tullo. And so this cute little mini album is made out of pattern paper as opposed to cardstock. And so the main part of the album is made out of one sheet of 12 by 12 pattern paper. And then there's a little bit extra added. You can see that there's a couple holes that have been punched, and we're just using some sapphire crochet thread to hold it together. Very cool. And so on the front here we have, you can see the stamping that we've done. And, oh, I'm just fixing my video. Sorry, off to the side. And we've also added some enamel dots. So let's take a look inside. If we open it up, you can see that this part opens up with lots of space to add all the details and photos. So you could put like 3x4 photos on here and really kind of jazz it up. I'm not sure. You might be able to fit a 4x6. No, not quite. Not a 4x6. 3x4 is definitely. It may be slightly larger. So look at all this space you have with this nice flip out. And then here on this side, we have a nice little pocket that you can add. And then as we turn the page, this is a nice full side-to-side spread. You can add whatever decorating you want. I haven't overly decorated this, right? I'm leaving that up to your imagination. But I wanted to show you how to create this base because it's so cool. And then we turn the page again, and we're going to get to see the same sort of details that we had on that first page. We've got another pocket here, and then we have a nice flip out again on the back, and then the back cover. How cool is that? So for our outside on this one, I used the pattern paper that was back to back, and I specifically chose this one because it doesn't matter which way the design goes. So when we have things that are kind of flipping and folding, you don't want to really have too much of an up and down pattern. You want ones that are a little bit more all over. And this collection is great for that. And then here we used a zigzag on one side and this cute little sort of gingham look on the other side. And that created a nice pattern as well. And there's actually this little part here that holds our pocket closed. You'll see where that little piece comes in, and that comes out of the same two pieces of paper that we start with. So let's get going and start creating this. So the piece that I'm going to use for my 12 by 12 for this one is this gorgeous wildflower pattern paper on the one side, And then on the other side, I have this stunning floral. Isn't that gorgeous with the raspberries and flamingos and ballerina pinks and the greens and all just kind of layered on top of each other? So this is going to be my cover. And then this is going to be what you see on the inside. Now, if you look at this wildflower, there is a bit of a direction to it. So it kind of goes this way. Most of the flowers are kind of sprouting up and heading that way. So I want to keep that in mind when I am creating this. That is why I put it on the inside, because on the inside we're going to have those two panels that fold open and then everything will be vertical, right? So the first step we need to do is to do some scoring. And I want to start by doing my scoring on the side that I want for my cover. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to line it up on my Versamat because we're going to be scoring for the cover first. And let me just grab here. We're going to start by scoring near the middle. We're going to score at 5.5 inches, top to bottom. Isn't this great? We didn't even have to cut the paper before we started. We just go ahead and use it. So we're going to score at 5.5 inches. Then we're going to score at 6 inches. Just like that. And then we're going to score again at 6.5 inches. So we're scoring right in the center, 3 score lines, 5.5, 6 inches, and 6.5, just like that. And you can probably see a little bit there where my tool has gone through, because it kind of changes the color of the paper, smidge. But otherwise, it's going to be hard for you to see where those score lines are. So then what we need to do is we need to take our whole paper and we need to turn it 90 degrees. So we're going to turn it 90 degrees and we're going to line it up again. You want to make sure it lines up really well. If you have a scoreboard, no worries about that. You just pop it right in the scoreboard. And now we're going to score it at 4 inches. So we've turned it 90 degrees. Our first 3 score lines are now horizontal. Now we're going to score at 4, like so, and 8. So scoring at 4 inches and 8 inches, just like that. Lovely. Okay. Now we need to do a little bit of trimming because there are sections of this that I need to remove. And what I need to remove is in between these score lines, I need to take out this whole piece. It's a 1-inch piece all the way down to this first horizontal score line. And I also need to remove the top piece, the 1-inch piece with all the score lines at the top. So let's grab our scissors and have a go at this. So we're going to start at the bottom. If you wanted, you could use your paper trimmer. If you have a good paper trimmer that will do this kind of cutting. Mine does not because it's a rotary trimmer. So it's a little bit more finicky. So I'm just using my trusty scissors and snip across on that horizontal score line. And then up here. Now these pieces that we are cutting out, we are not going to get rid of those because we're going to use those later on the pockets. Remember I said there, our extra little pieces were going to come from somewhere. So these are the pieces to set aside to use for our pockets. Now we're going to turn it around and we're going to cut out this piece with the 3 score lines. So follow the first score line and then turn at the horizontal and come across. And then we're going to trim down here. Just like that. Try and do it nice and straight. Everything always looks better when it's nice and straight. There we go. Hey, Mom. Nice to see you're watching. Hey, Lisa. My video finally caught up with me. Nice to see you guys watching. Ooh, Lisa got some CTMH toys today. Okay, so now we have our cover. We've been working on our cover. We've done our score lines right across 5.5, 6, 6.5. Then we turned it 90 degrees and we scored at 4 and 8. And now we have trimmed out the top and the bottom sections, leaving this center part all the way across. Okay, and now we need to do some creasing. So we're going to go ahead and fold this up from the bottom on that score line. And I always make sure that my edges are lining up so that nothing's crooked when I'm doing my final crease down. So, oops, I'm actually folding it the wrong way because this is my cover. Let me flip it over. This is the inside that I want. And I'll turn it around so it's the right way up, so then you're not all confused. Okay, let's try that again. We're going to fold up from the bottom along that crease line, like so, and give it a good crease down. I love that these patterns back to back look so lovely. And we've got the pinks being picked up there. And then we're also going to, actually I can leave that closed. We're going to fold down the top that I already sort of creased the wrong way. Well done. And we're going to crease that down. Then we're going to come over to this side and we're going to fold up from the bottom. Make sure everything lines up along our outside edge. Give it a crease down. So what fun things did you get, Lisa? What did you get? And then we're going to come down from the top along that other crease line. Make sure everything lines up just like that. And give it a crease all the way across. Okay, so now, as you remember from our example, we have got now our front page with our flip outs and our back page with our flip outs. Okay, so that's what we've created. Now we need to create this folded part in the center that will give us the hinge-like effect that we need. So our first piece of folding is going to be at that 6-inch line, the crease line that's right in the center of this. So we're going to fold this right over, and so these two ends should line up, and give it a good crease down like that. And then we need to have some flexibility. So we're going to open it back up, and we're going to crease on this crease line here that's closest to the end. Make sure everything lines up side to side, like so. And so now we have that center fold, and then this one now has some flexibility. So let's go to the other side. We're going to fold it back, like so. Lovely. Loving these florals. So there we go. We have our flip up and our flip down for our front cover and back cover, and we have our nice little 3 creases in the center to make everything fold the way we want to. So now it has some flexibility. You can even take it and fold it from side to side like this and get it all nice and worked in. Okay? So that is our front. Now we need to work on the piece that's going to go in the center. So for that, we're going to need another piece of pattern paper, and I have chosen this one that has the gorgeous zigzags and gingham, the same as our other one. And the reason why I did that is because I can make 2 of these center pieces out of 1 piece of paper. So I'm conserving paper by using the exact same one for this one. And this needs to be cut at 5.5 by 12. So 5.5 by 12. And the first thing we need to do is we need to put it the long way on here. And I'm just double checking. Yes. I want to put it the long way. I'm just checking to see which side I want it to have it on. That's what the pause is about. Okay. This way? Yes. So I want it to go this way It's just my pattern that I'm trying to match. It's not anything to do with how it moves. And what we're going to do is we're going to score it at 4 inches here. 4 inches, which is 1.5 inches from the edge. So basically we're just making it 1.5 inches all along the one side. And because this pattern does not have an up or down, it does not matter, you know, which side. I could have scored at 1.5 inches over here. It would have been fine. So there we go. We've got our 1.5 inches. And then we can go ahead and fold that up like so. Lovely. Make sure it's all nice and creased. Now we've got 1.5 inches, and we're going to line it up again because we have to make that center hinge again. So you can see how we're creating those 2 pockets just by folding up that piece of extra paper. And we're going to do our same 3 score lines in the center to create the hinge. So we're going to crease it at 5.5. Just lining it up here. 5.5. And at 6. So right in the center. And then 6.5. Gorgeous. Lots of creasing. So now we need to create this pocket, and we want to create the pocket by folding this way as opposed to folding it this way. We want the turned up flap to be on the outside edge of this fold. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to line it up. Easier if I laid it down. Line it up on the Versamat, making sure those edges are in the right spot, holding them nice and tight, and then creasing. This gets a little bit stiffer because we've now got 4 layers of pattern paper going here. This nice thick pattern paper. Now you could of course make this with cardstock instead of pattern paper, but it's going to get a lot bulkier, and I don't think you need to. I think you can go ahead and just use this. Now we need to crease this the opposite direction on the 2 outside score lines, the 5.5 and 6.5. So I've opened it back up, and now I'm going to fold it this way and make sure it lines up along the one side at least, and crease that down. Open it up, and now we're going to crease it on this side. Like so. Make sure everything lines up. Give it a good crease down. Isn't this great? We haven't even glued anything yet. We're making a whole mini album. We haven't used any adhesive. How cool is that? So, Lisa, you got markers, stamps, paper, all the things. All the things. Gotta love all the things. And then we can take and just kind of give that little hinge a little sort of encouragement to fold both ways, because this is the page in the center, so it has to be able to fold both ways. And then here in the middle, you know, you can go and decorate that however you choose to. But what we need to do now is we need to open this cover up, making sure that we have our top flaps at the top. And we're going to take our insert and stick it right in there. Make sure that everything kind of gets down into the crease and make sure it's all lined up. And then I'm going to use my Versamat, and I'm going to just line it up here. And this is going to take a little bit of gumption here in a second. So we'll see how good my gumption is. And in this 1/2 inch little hinge spot, I'm going to mark right in the center of that 1/2 inch. I'm going to put a little plus at 1 inch. And then I'm going to put a little plus at 3 inches. So 1 inch in from each side. Let me lift this up so you can see that. So you can see here I've added a little plus here and a little plus there. And that's where we're going to punch our holes. So you need to have a hole punch, and then you need to have some really good stamina. And I will have to see if I can get through all of the layers here. We'll see. I might. Okay, that one's going to be the easy one. The bottom one is the one that has all the extras for that pocket. So let's see if we can get through here. Ugh, gotta use the muscles. Or call somebody else who has good hand strength, because You're going through a lot of layers there. So now we can go ahead and add some of this sapphire crochet thread. And I am loving this. And you know what? This has been in the clearance section on the website for a long time. And I use it for all sorts of things. And it's fantastic. Now it comes off the roll a little bit crinkly. So you can take it and run your scissors down it to try and relieve some of the crinkle. It doesn't get rid of all of it, but it can help a little bit. So just like you would curling ribbon, just run your scissors down the length. And there we go. And now let me see. I want to kind of have it loop through 3 times and have some spot to tie. So I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, and then some spot to tie. So about that long. It's probably excessive, but you know. And now I have to think about how I did this before. I went up and down and back up. Okay, so we're going to put the 2 ends in from the back side. So this is the back side. And of course you could do it anyway. You could use any material. You just need something to tie it together because we're just making a super simple hinging tied together. So bring the 2 ends up from the back. Just like that. And then we're going to take and crisscross them. And then this one's going to go back down like so. Now, if you had a thicker string, you wouldn't necessarily have to do 3 loops. But I'm going to do 3 loops just because it's a thin thread and it might as well look a little more bulky. I'm doing it almost more for aesthetics than anything. So there, and then we can crisscross them and bring them back up from the back side. See, usually you guys come on Wednesday night and I'm just making a card. Tonight we're making a whole mini album. It's so exciting. So exciting. There we go. And then we'll take this last one and come back up through the top. Now this could be a really fun card too, right? It doesn't have to be an album with photos. You could do it as a card and add all sorts of fun things in here and sayings and poems and whatever you want. It could be a little photo album that you use as a card too. You could just pop it in the mail. And it's a little bit bigger than a standard size. It's 4 inches tall, but it's longer than the 5.5. Right? Because it's the 6 inch. I just wanted to confirm that. I'm pretty sure we measured 6 inches, but you never know. So what I'm going to do, because I don't trust my knot tying abilities, is I'm just doing a whole bunch of knots along this little string, and you could attach anything you wanted to this. You could attach little danglies, you could attach little beads, you could do all sorts of things. If you're going to put it in the mail, you probably don't want to put too many bulky things. You could attach a little wooden embellishment, anything you want. And then I'm just going to give it a little one of these knots with the 2 strings together. I was not a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout. I didn't learn the good knots. So I always knot everything up good. And then you can decide if you want to leave that dangle or cut it shorter. Now we need to do something about our pockets here because as you can see, they are open on the outside edge. The inside edge is nice and closed because it's all held in with our yarn or our crochet thread. But the outside 2 pockets are left open. And so I saw this really cool idea, and I can't even remember where I saw it, but it was really kind of interesting. Where they just took a strip of paper, and so this is nice because it matches, right? We've got the wildflowers on one side, and we've got the pretty pink flowers. So I'm going to use the pink flower side, and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm not even going to score it. I'm just going to put it on my Versamat. And I'm going to fold 1 inch over at the end. So a 1 inch little spot here. I can use my bone folder. Okay, so we folded over 1 inch. And then at the other end, opposite where that fold is, I'm just going to dovetail it. Just give it a little snip in the center. And we even have the center already marked because the score line's there. We're just going to ignore that score line. If it bothers you that there's score lines on there, then by all means you can get a different piece of paper. So it's just a 1" by 4" piece of paper. And now what we can do is we're going to put a little bit of adhesive on the flap. So let me get this. We're going to add some. This is the only adhesive we've used so far. Okay, so we've put a little bit of adhesive on the flap, and then we're going to open it up and we're going to add a little bit of adhesive on the dovetail part. Not under here, just on this long strip. Okay, and then we can take the backing off. You could use liquid glue for this too if you want. But just peel the backing off. Now here's where it gets a little bit tricky because you have to pay attention to the fact that you have adhesive on here. What you're going to do is you're going to take it with your pretty pattern paper that you want seeing, take the little flap and you're going to wrap it around the end of the pocket that's kind of free floating right now, and close it down like this and stick that part, and then this adhesive that's on the back of the little flap sticks to the panel behind, but there's no adhesive in between. So now that little dovetail decorative little element has become the pocket. Let me grab a little card, and this is a 3.5 by 4.5. And now it can tuck right in and it can go all the way to the end. You don't have to worry about glue. So if you could stick it down with adhesive or glue just on the end, but by using this little flag to create the adhesive area, you now have full use of the entire pocket, which I think is kind of cool. So let's flip over to the other pocket and we'll do the same thing. So you get to see it twice. We're going to take our lovely pattern paper and we're going to fold back a 1" section like so. Give it a good crease. We're going to add some adhesive to the little flap that we just created like so. We're going to turn it over, and at the opposite end, away from the flap, we're going to give it a little dovetail, because why not? It looks pretty that way. And add a little dovetail. And then on the inside, the part that we're not going to see later, we're going to add our adhesive. And I'm just adding a little strip of adhesive down the center. I'm not overly caring about how much adhesive I'm using. And then take off all your backing pieces and be cautious that you don't accidentally stick it where you don't want it until you're all certain. Okay, and then we're going to take it and we're going to wrap it around the end of our little pocket, and I'm kind of trying to center it from top to bottom. And then we can fold it over and stick the front part down, and then we can go ahead and put the pocket down and adhere it to the back piece. So there we go. We've created our second pocket, and we can put our little card in there, and you could fit more than one in there if you wanted. You could put a nice little journaling spot in there. You could make a folded over card and tuck that in there. And then, of course, we have our flip flaps on this side to add lots of photos or sentiments. So let's add a little bit of decoration to the front. We're not going to decorate the whole thing because I don't want to keep you here all night. But let's take a nice little piece of white daisy. I've cut this to 2.5 by 3.5. And I've got my stamp set here, the Celebrate Summer, which is a nice, cute little stamp set that goes with our new 4 Seasons paper pack in the core catalog. So this is the summer one, which I thought would be nice with, you know, all the florals. I've got the flamingo ink. So we're going to do a little matchy-matchy here. And we're going to stamp out summer. A little bit up because we're going to add the word vibes. There's our summer. And then bringing in sapphire ink, which is the blue that's happening on some of the papers here. On here, this nice dark blue, that's sapphire. So we're going to add that in, and we're going to use the vibes, summer vibes. Anybody feeling the summer vibes the last day or two with all the lovely weather? So we're going to stamp that just below the word summer. And then I've got a piece of sapphire cardstock that's also been cut to 3x4. So I can go ahead and attach this on here, like so. Lovely, lovely. And you might see maybe tomorrow, I'm going to go ahead and do a lot more decorating on these, and I'll post the more decorated version of it so that you can see kind of where it could go from here. Obviously, you can use any papers you want, any embellishments. The sky's the limit. So can you think of an instance where you would like to use a little mini album like this? This little album can actually be tucked inside of another album, right? It could be an album within an album, another interactive little element. And then we can just go ahead and stick that on the front like so. And then we have these fun dots now. These are the blue dots, and they're gorgeous, the new embellishments. So let's grab a few from here. We're going to use the sapphire one and just add a little star there, and a little star there, and a little star there. I like to use my piercing tool to lift those because my fingers would never do it. The piercing tool makes it so much easier. So there we have it, our very cool mini album inspired by fellow maker Connie Bishop Tullo. And isn't that just so cool? You just punch a couple holes. Everything is held together just with that string. The only little bits of adhesive were for our embellishments. And then here we have this fun interactive part with our flip-flaps going up and down. We've got a nice little pocket. This card was 3.5 by 4.5, so you could put a nice 3x4 photo on either side, or some journaling. You could tuck 2 or 3 of those in there. So this is the only part that needed adhering with that fun little trick with the little dovetailed piece. And then we have a nice big spread where we could add all sorts of things. And then repeating from the front side, this cute little flip flap and pocket. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing how to create this fun little mini album. How cute is that? I hope you guys give it a try, and if you do, I would love to see some photos of what you create. All right, have a wonderful evening. Toodaloo. Bye.